Hello and welcome to the Metapod Podcast, the Pokemon TCG podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. I'm Jake, that's Sean. Sean, how has your week been?
Um, weekend has been pretty good. Pretty good. I got some exciting news over the last, I don't know, like 4 or 5 days, something like that.
Mhm.
So, Jake, you'll be going to Worlds this year, right?
I am, yes. I have a spectator pass set for all 3 days, so me and my partner are going.
And people who might remember when I was much sad about not getting a spectator pass will be happy to know that I now have a weekend spectator pass for Worlds. That's right. That's right. Much thanks to Tuan Lei, who had a couple of extra badges, and I reached out. So, Tuan, if you're listening,
Oh, are badges like transferable?
you can. I think if you have a competitor badge, you can register people as guests.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Totally forgot
So,
about that because I've never been a
yeah.
Worlds competitor.
Oh yeah, yeah. Jake, neither Jake nor I have been
Yeah,
have
I
qualified.
didn't even think about
So,
that. Yeah.
but shout out to Tuan. They hooked me up with a ticket, and maybe we'll be talking to Tuan at some point in the near future
Mhm.
about translations and worlds and all that stuff. But no confirmations there yet. But very excited to actually meet you in person.
It was funny because Sean and I have been talking the last week, because both of us playing One Piece and, Sean getting more into One Piece. Sean, loves Dallas. And so there's a big tournament, basically nationals happening in Dallas. And did you sign up for the last chance qualifier
I
for there?
did
Yeah. So Sean and I both signed up for that tournament in
September.
September. Yeah. It's my birthday weekend. Actually, the tournament's on my birthday, so
Wow.
so think twice before you beat me in a match. Uh, but anyways, we were joking around how like funny it would be if after 5 years of doing the Metapod podcast, we finally met at a One Piece tournament and not a Pokemon tournament. But now that Sean's going to Worlds, it'll be at a Pokemon tournament. Don't worry for the lore riders in the Metapod community.
Yeah, it is. It is happening as it should. We will meet, and that also means if anyone out there who's listener, Discord viewer, any of that YouTube stuff, if you're also going to be at Worlds, you will be able to theoretically say hi to both myself and Jake.
Mhm.
And you can maybe even see the moment that we meet for the first.
You
we'll
can you
we'll
can
have to
see
record
how
that.
I'm you're gonna see how I'm 6'5" and Sean is 5'7",
That's right.
Just
That's right.
pretty
I feel
pretty
like
canon.
I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea exactly how tall you are, Jake, but I know you were a swimmer, and swimmers tend to be not like super tall, but taller. So I'm
Well, it
like,
depends. It
yeah,
depends.
true.
The long distance swimmers
Hmm.
are usually the average height, I would say, of
Hmm.
like a person, but if you're a sprinter,
Yeah,
you're a
Michael
tall son of a
Phelps,
gun.
tall
Yeah, I
person.
mean, so it depends. Ryan Lochte,
Yeah.
or not Ryan Lochte. Who am I thinking of? Matt Greaves? It's been a long time. Anyways, Pokemon podcast. We've got some Pokemon news that we can talk about this week. Some stuff been going on. We had a lot of these like set for last week's episode before they dropped all of the information on this next upcoming season. So this may be a little bit older stuff that you don't know about, but there has been some stuff that's come out during the week, including Sean, some new 2025 fall tins. These are going to be the typical tins that you see with a promo card and several packs inside of them. And they're going to be themed around Team Rocket's Pokemon. There's going to be 3 different tins and actually 3 different sets of tins. There's the like horizontal tin and there's also the vertical tin, if you know what I'm talking about. Like, kind of with the orientation of
Yep.
how the tin is structured. Right. So the 3 tins, though, of each of the horizontal and vertical, they're going to be themed around Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX, Team Rocket's Persian EX, and Team Rocket's Nidoking EX. So I believe also the pictures of all 3 of them are unique promo arts. It's not anything crazy. It's like, I think, just rotated to the other side. But if you're a promo collector, right? Because I know there are some people out there. I love collecting promos myself. You might want to check these off your list.
Yeah, I will say they're not as like you do you know how like the Pokemon market right now is going insane, especially for the
Mhm.
tag team era promos, like the
Yes.
Mewtwo. I will say these aren't going to be that level of promo, but the fact that we are getting a Team Rocket's Mewtwo promo, I think is super cool. Um,
Yeah.
Not that the card is crazy expensive right now, but like, if you were looking to try that archetype out, now you have even more access to this card.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're me, I don't own any Rockets Mewtwo, so this will be a nice way for the promo and also the regular art to just really dip down in price, and I can get a play set of those. They will be releasing on September 5th at $27 USD. So not a bad price, especially because you get 5 packs inside of them
It's pretty good.
as well. The picture, which I don't think the picture is final, it could change up, but the picture in it has Destined Rivals and Journey Together packs inside of them. I would essentially think that Destined Rivals is guaranteed inside of them, but the other packs, the Journey Together might have been a placeholder, but it'd be really cool if that specific tin had Journey Together and Destined Rivals. I know those would probably be hot actually, like people trying to go get them because those are two hot sets.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll probably, my gut says that's probably the sets because the way that printing has been happening lately. Like
Mhm.
they probably want to just make sure that it's whatever the most recent stuff off the printer is. So, but yeah, so that's like the piece of product news that we have for everybody this week. And outside of that, though, we're going to be turning our attention to future sets. Specifically, we got confirmation, Jake, on the set that is coming out in September 26th, which will feature the Mega Gardevoir and Mega Lucario that were already revealed. And this set is going to be just named Mega Evolution.
Absolutely terrible.
That's a terrible name.
Like,
So
well,
bad.
yeah, oh, man, like, I get the whole thing is, like, the gimmick of Mega Evolutions are coming in, but we coulda just called it something else, right, with Mega. I mean, the Japanese names were Mega Brave and Mega Symphonia. Like, those are cool. Those
Hmm.
are cool names, but when you combine them both together, can you get something and it's like Mega Evolution?
I guess
Boo-hoo.
my thought is that if this is meant to be the start of a new like what do you call it? Not set, but like series,
Yeah,
kind of
like
like
Era,
yeah,
you
era.
know?
So like we had a set that was just called Sun and Moon, and people refer to it as Sun and Moon Base. Same with Scarlet and Violet. The very first set was called Scarlet Violet. Fine. So I mean, I guess it follows that nomenclature of like, well, it's just called Mega Evolution, and maybe the next set will be called Mega Evolution something underneath.
Can you imagine if every single, like, set of the Mega Evolution timeline? Because or is this no, this is a new era
Yeah.
entirely. I was gonna say this is different than, like, Fusion Strike, Rapid Strike, Single Strike kinda deal. But if they were all just, like, Mega Evolution blank,
That
how
might
funny would
honestly
that
that
be?
might be what happens, Jake.
I feel like that would be terrible,
I
honestly.
mean,
I would hate it, but
yeah, I don't love it either because also it implies so much about what has to be in every set, which is like, well, every set then needs mega evolutions because it's imagine having a set called Tag Team
mhm.
and it's called like Tag Team Mewtwo's Revenge.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, anyways. But yeah, it's called Mega Evolution, comes out in September, and we got some more reveals of some cards, Jake, in this set that we sort of touched on before, but I would say the biggest news, not individual card, but the biggest like piece of news that we got was that we will be now getting full art item cards. So they will be a very similar design, like layout to the gold cards that we already have. But the difference is they won't be gold, they will be full art. I'm showing on the YouTube right now the rare candy, which is like a pink and orange background with a blue candy. That's like the rare candy. But these are going to be full art sort of trainers, which will be interesting to see, like, putting that in now with your full art supporters and your illustration rare Pokemon, and like, I don't know, how do you feel like it looks, Jake?
I actually like these way more because, and I think we talked about, or maybe it was in the Lost episode that we talked about it, but I feel like these are replacing the secret rares, right? So
Hmm.
I really like this design a little bit more. It just pops out a little bit. It's got the enlarged item, but the variety of colors in comparison to just like gold, which the gold is cool. Don't get me wrong. It is a secret rare, but I would rather have like more colors and more like uniqueness in a sense, even if they are kind of like dull, like color mesh type of backgrounds. It's just overall like nicer looking, especially when you have a whole deck, I feel like. But that's me personally.
I mean, it will be easier to distinguish which items are which, because like for anybody
Mhm.
out there who plays with a bunch of gold items in a deck, um, we see you. That's bling. But the problem is when you're actually looking through your deck, oftentimes you can like get confused about which card is which because the gold items all kind of blend together. To your point, whereas this
Mhm.
they'll stand out a little bit more because like example, Rare Candy is a big pink background, Night Stretcher is a big blue background. It's pretty obvious that these are different cards.
Yeah, a lot of times for me when I'm doing prize mapping or just trying to figure out what is in my prizes, a lot of times I'll just do it in like quick segments instead of taking a full 5 minutes on my first search or whatever. But a lot of times it's the color indicator, like the color of the full art supporter or like the background on the Pokemon card. So this will help those kind of like it's very much minute,
Yeah.
but who knows if this will stay for a long time, if it's just this set or this block,
Hmm.
you could say, or era of Mega Evolutions, but I really like this adjustment.
We did get some new cards that I think are worth talking about, Jake.
Mhm.
Do you want to tell people what's going on with Mega Venusaur EX?
Mega Venusaur EX is, I believe, now the biggest Pokemon in the Pokemon trading card game. 380 HP is actually a big kahuna. Has the ability Solar Transfer. As often as you'd like during your turn, you may use this ability to move a basic energy from one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. Really like this ability, right? Especially when Teal Mask Ogerpon is involved, right? That's kind of the first partner that I thought of with this Pokemon. Teal Mask Ogerpon accelerates the energies onto the board, but makes them super spread out a lot of times and, could get things stuck. But now with Venusaur, you could just throw them wherever you want, right? After you get that draw off of the ability, and then has an attack as well for 4 grass energies, Jungle Dump 240, which heals 30 damage from this Pokemon. So honestly, not an incredible attack, not a bad attack either, right? 240 when you have energy acceleration and you can move the energies around all the time, is honestly pretty okay, especially with like different healing effects that you can do to make it like really tanky.
Yeah, the heal 30 damage. It's so funny that they just have stapled that onto this attack because I'm like, what? We don't need heal 30. It's
Mhm.
not even like 240. Like, say you get hit by a Venusaur EX, like in a mirror, and you heal that 30. Well, it doesn't stop you from being two hit. Like there's a part of me that's like, you could probably have just ignored that Pokemon. But okay. I wanted to quickly jump though to a card that I think pairs really well with this. Because contextually, I think this is its main partner is a supporter called Wally's Compassion. So
Mhm.
this supporter says heal all damage from one of your Mega Evolution Pokemon EX. If you do, put all energy attached to that Pokemon back into your hand. So, as Jake mentioned, this is a 380 HP chonker. And now you have a supporter that can just straight up heal all the damage. And I will say, you can even move all of the energy off of it before you heal if you want. Or if you're playing this with Teal Mask Ogrepon, you can just take off however much energy you want so that you can draw more cards with Teal Mask. So effectively, say you have 4 Teal Mask on the board, you leave 4
Mhm.
energy onto that Pokemon. It doesn't make you discard it. You heal it all off, and then you draw 4. with your teal mask. And it's like, wait, so this supporter basically enables this to say heal all damage, draw 4.
Yeah.
It's
It's actually like a really interesting combo that I'm really curious about, especially when you factor in stuff like Hero's Cape, right?
yeah.
Hero's Cape making it
Jeez.
480 HP. That's
Oh,
crazy, in my
that's
opinion.
that is absolutely insane.
Like, sure, we have ways of getting uncapped damage potential, but I have to get out my calculator to figure out 480 divided
That's
by
10.
70 on the Raging
Oh,
Bolt.
Raging Bolt?
Wait, yeah, because that's
6,
70 times,
7.
right?
Yeah, you would need
You
7.
would need 7. Yeah, you
This is a
need
lot.
7 energies discarded, which is a lot. It's not undoable, but it is a lot. And then, what is it?
Goldango
Goldango
is
needs
10.
10, right? Because it's 50 times. So it's like it's not impossible, right, to hit 500 HP for a one shot, but holy smokes, it's probably not easy, right?
No.
Especially if there's maybe like hand disruption or any kind of disruption going on within this deck.
Yeah, and in theory too, like if you were playing this, yeah, Raging Bolt can certainly be the kind of deck that hits those numbers. But the Venusaur does 240 damage base. So it can
Mm,
one shot a Raging Bolt right back if it doesn't have a Bravery Charm or something on it. So I don't know, like did we finally get a playable grass stage 2, Jake? Is it
I
happening?
feel like this I feel like this is what they wanted Celebi and Venusaur to be. Do you
Mm,
remember that tag team?
I do. I do.
Yeah, I feel like this is almost and this is all theory, right? There's been like literally no testing by anybody really, or maybe some like niche stuff, but no like big tournaments, big grand scale tournaments testing this idea. But it seems like that's kind of the direction they're going. I do really like this combo. It'll be really interesting, especially when you have like other different attackers, right? Like you have the
Yep.
Toad Scroll EX that Ray Chen has been piloting like crazy in the last couple months. You also have Iron Leaves, right? To be able to get like a really good attacker in there for maybe 2 prizes. So there's a lot of options and there's a lot of opportunity, in my opinion, especially because it's just moving basic grass energy. It's not moving it to grass Pokemon,
Yeah.
right?
Like you said, you could play this if you wanted with like one like rainbow style energy and an Iron Hands, and then you're good to go. It's fine. It's easy actually if you played this with the Teal Mask Gogurpon. So you could even get into like a bit more of a toolboxy style deck that can, utilize a bunch of colorless energy as, for the grass. Yeah, definitely interesting. But I will say we did get confirmation they are printing a new Ralts and a new Curlia. Um, so Gardevoir fans, myself, rejoice. You will continue to have access because, they got to make sure that you can actually evolve into Mega Gardevoir after the original Scarlet and Violet base
Mhm.
rotates. Um, and the Curlia is kind of interesting. I will say the Curlia is 100 HP now. So I do think that people will opt to play this Curlia as like the new main Curlia in Gardevoir decks. It also has an attack that theoretically, you can search your deck for 3 Pokemon and put them into your hand. I don't know how often that will be super useful, but like, you know, situationally, if you are in a Badoo situation, you can go and grab your Gardevoir out.
Yeah, in slower game plans, it's just a really nice like Pokemon search. I'm sure that this is also really good in GLC
mm,
potentially. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's better than Refinement actually. Now that I think about it, because you can play the Refinement Curlia, but
yeah, it's pretty good.
being able to search for Pokemon can't be that bad.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Um, but we also did get, Jake, another Mega Pokemon revealed, and that was Mega Latias EX, which, we talked before about like, what are they going to have basic 3 prize Pokemon again? And the answer is yes. This Mega
Yep.
Latias EX, 280 HP basic. First attack, strafe, it just does 40 damage, and you switch it with a Pokemon on your bench. Pretty honestly, kind of annoying situationally. Like, say you've got your opponent has a Badoo, you just throw 1 energy on this, knock out the Badoo, and throw something you don't care about in the active. But The second attack, Jake, for a fire psychic colorless, 300 damage, discard all energy from this Pokemon. You know, I don't know. Maybe 300 doesn't matter anymore. I hate to say that. 300 damage might just be bad, but
Yeah, I mean, like, well, here's the thing too. It might not be the easiest to get this going, right? Because it is three energies. It's not like you can
yeah.
use a Crispin or something like
Well,
that.
you
You do
can.
have to get more attachment. Well,
You
I
can
mean, you
Crispin
can use a
counter gain.
Crispin on.
Let's go.
Okay, counter gain. You know what? You got me there. You got me
I
there.
mean, in theory, you could Crispin counter gain this bad boy.
Yeah, I will say though, like if you're counter gaining, right, it is 280, and especially as a basic Pokemon. I assume that 280 is going to be the lowest amount that we see from, or somewhere near the low
Yeah.
end. You know, there might be a support Pokemon that's lower than that, but in the lower end of this, the only thing that I can think of that this could be great in is like Dragapult, maybe. Uh, and that's if you're maybe like trying to go for game and they try to push like a 280 Pokemon right in front of you, right? Because like
Yeah.
in the Gardevoir matchup, a lot of times Gardevoirs against Dragapult will just push up a regular Gardevoir, right? Because you can't one shot it.
Yeah.
So kind of dealing with that in a sense, because you can have some damage modifiers that can get that knockout going over 300 to reach those like sort of EXs and stuff.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think pairing this with Dragapult will probably be its first home. Maybe it exists in some other decks, but like Dragapult's a good one because it can set up over the course of like 2 turns, maybe. Maybe you do 300, and then later on you clean it up with a boss Dragapult or a counter catcher Dragapult and 6 damage counters. Um, and just think about like if people actually do end up playing these megas, they're usually going to be between 340 and 380 HP. So with the right sort of damage manipulators, you could theoretically take all 6 prizes in 1 turn if you knock out
Mhm.
2 3 prizers. Like set up some damage here, set up some damage there. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where this maybe finds a home. Lily Sclefairy,
And
I
if
think,
you're, oops,
definitely
sorry.
bodies this a billion ways to Sunday.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like that's why I was saying like it's more of like a finisher kind of
Yeah.
thing. Because especially like in the Gardevoir matchup, which by the way, Gardevoir debatably the best deck in format. And it's not going away anytime soon, especially with the Mega now being involved. But that's probably like one of your finishers because you are going to give up 3 prizes if it's knocked out. And Lily's Curl Fairy Screamtail, like easy peasy lemon squeezy, you know?
Gosh, can you imagine how good that would feel? Just put 4 energy on a Scream Tail and take 3 prizes. Oh,
You could just put 3 energy on a Gardevoir if you have Clefairy down and just
oh yeah. But
slam
imagine
it because
imagine
it's
throwing up a
190.
imagine throwing up a single prizer and taking 3. Oh, so
Oh, yeah,
good.
throwing up
So
a single
good.
prizer is probably the best, but, there's multiple ways to be able to deal with it, and, it is I don't I can't remember, I'm just gonna reiterate this, but it's a dragon Pokemon, and its 300 damage attack is Fire, Psychic, and Colorless.
Yeah. Um Outside of that though, there was a couple of other new cards we got in the trainer sense that we are now
Mhm.
aware of. Jake, do you want to take us through a couple of those?
There's gonna be Lily's Determination. So very reminiscent of the Lily that was in Ultra Prism Sun and Moon base, right? We're getting a new Lily's version where it is a draw supporter, but if you meet a certain condition, you can draw more cards. Lily's Determination in this set says shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards. Already a good effect, right? Cynthia and Ultra Prism, for those of you that remember, kind of in like the 2017 range. Great card, great supporter that was in so many different decks at that time. But if you have exactly 6 prize cards remaining, draw 8 cards instead. So, especially at the very beginning of the game, going second, right? Going second, this can be huge for you. You know, reset the hand and draw a couple more on top of that. So, I really like this supporter.
And since we don't have confirmation on a reprint with a new block letter for research, professor's research, it's
Mhm.
still at F block. There's a part of me that thinks that Pokemon is sort of planning for like a shift in play style because we didn't always have discard draw 7. Like when we started playing,
Mhm.
that wasn't a thing. That had been rotated out and didn't come back for another year or two. So I could see a world in which things like Lily's Determination, Iono, and Judge become like your main draw supporters again. Um, and what's interesting about that is I think it will slow games down a little bit because having to shuffle your hand back in, you won't always be able to like ditch all these cards to thin your deck. Um, but it also encourages, I think, rare candy gameplay because and especially gameplay where like there might be like one of items here and there that you don't just have to throw away because of like situational things. So I don't know.
Mhm.
I'll be interested to see how maybe if this becomes the staple, um, how it changes deck building. Um, Outside of that, though, we did get a couple more cards. One I'll talk about briefly is Mega Signal. So,
Ah.
yeah, yeah, the Pokemon Company really wants you to play Megas. So, what are they doing? Instead of making it harder to evolve them like it used to be in the past, let's make it a normal evolution and let's give you a card that just searches for a Mega Pokemon EX and puts it into your hand. You don't have to discard anything. You don't have to. There's nothing. You just
I think I talked about this, when megas were first revealed on the podcast because when we had GXs, right, in the late era of GXs, when Unified Minds came out, there was a card called Cherish Ball that came out. Cherish Ball is just a Pokeball that searches for any GX, or I
I
think
think
it's
just
just
GX.
GXs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't search for EXs, um, but that I was saying, like, especially with Mega Pokemon coming back and like you could just evolve them straight away. You don't have to, it doesn't end your turn, or you don't need a spirit link, right? Like you did in the past. I was like, I would hate for them to make a Cherish Ball version of Mega Evolutions, and boy howdy, they did. As if it wasn't easy enough already with like Ultra Ball in format or something like that, you know, Jock supporter or well, actually Mega Pokemon EXs. They are
All
EXs. So
Megas are
Serrano,
EXs. Yeah.
yeah, Serrano can also find them. So it's like, I don't know, they just did me dirty,
I mean,
with
yeah,
this.
I will say, especially introducing it in the first set of Mega
Yeah.
Evolutions, because again, for listeners out there who haven't been part of the game for that long, they usually wait a few sets before giving you direct search for whatever special thing is going on.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, GXs were out for 3 years before Cherish Ball came out.
yep.
I think 2 or 3 years.
And we never got a direct search for VMAX. Well, we didn't get a direct search for VMAXs specifically. We got Evolution Incense, which was
Yeah.
like kind of a direct search, but like they never gave
That
us
was
a
pretty much the direct search,
yeah,
yeah.
but they never gave us like direct search for like V's or V stars or like nothing like so specific as
Nest
that.
Ball.
I mean, Nest Ball, yeah, but like
The point
sometimes,
that Sean's trying to
yeah,
make is like an ultra specific, exactly
yeah.
find this Pokemon. I'm just being a jerk, you know? Just
But like, I think that tells you how I don't want to be rude with this, but how badly they want you to play Mega Evolutions,
yeah.
um, because they're like, hey, you can evolve it like normal. We're gonna give you a whole card to go get them. We're gonna make them 380 HP. Let's go.
As long as they can't, like, and here's my thing about Megas as I've thought about it more and more, as long as it's not like a one-hit KO kind of format where you can just one-shot things, I'm kind of okay with Megas running around everywhere, right? Because then it provides, like, more of a strategic game plan, right?
Yeah.
If you can't lose in, like, 2 or 3 turns. Um, but we might have to wait a little bit for that before,
Hold our judgment.
yeah,
Wait till
might have to wait for more sets.
Mega Arceus EX, and it says if you take any prizes with this Pokemon, you win the game.
No,
But it only does
absolutely
10
not.
damage, Jake. So what could go wrong?
What could possibly be done with my little Budu that's sitting in the active doing item lock, and I put a 20 plus damage modifier on it? I use
um,
black belt training energy attached, boom, 40 damage or whatever. Your buddy was
Um,
knocked out. I win the game. GG's. Extend the hand.
so the last card I'll briefly mention is Mystery Garden. It says once during each player's
Briefly is a
turn.
strong way to put it.
Well,
Briefly is so strong to
I
put it,
mean,
Sean.
it says it's a stadium. Once during each player's turn, they can discard an energy from their hand. If they do, they draw cards until they have as many cards in their hand as they have psychic Pokemon in play. Interesting Pokemon. You made
I
interesting.
wonder I wonder what deck this is supposed to support. Cough, cough, Gardevoir.
I'm like,
Continue now solidifying like a really good stadium inside of it, right?
I mean, Artisan is good, but like
No, Artisan was not bad, don't
Artisan's
get me
it
wrong,
gets
but
you
like
finds you Monkey Dory, but like I'll
I
I'll
don't think
take
that
this.
Artisan I don't think that Artisan was quite like necessary as it used to be, like
True.
when refinement when you needed like 5 Curlias out on the field. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So this stage, in my opinion, is incredibly good just simply because like it helps you get those energies in the discard pile because like I mentioned, you don't have refinement anymore. Also just drawing cards is nice, right? Because once again, you don't have refinement anymore.
Yeah, let's make Secret Box even better. What
Yeah.
stadium would you want to go get? Well, I just discarded
It's
my whole
absolutely
hand.
insane.
I just discarded my whole hand. Let me go get this stadium that will let me draw 6 cards back into my hand. Oh my god, Jake. I don't what's happening?
It's
Anyways,
absolutely crazy. I was so shocked that they made this card. Truly.
uh, that's sort of all we're going to talk about in terms of new cards. Um, Before we get to like discussing, because Jake and I are going to have a little discussion now about like the return of 3 prize Pokemon. I'm sure we'll talk about some of this new stuff, but just in case anybody was wondering if we would get more mega evolutions after this set, the answer is yes. Jake, what do we expect in the future in terms of new sets that have been revealed?
There were some new sets that were trademarked in the Pokemon trading card game, including Mega Dream EX and Abyss Eye in Japanese, as well as Storm Emeralda. I definitely practiced saying that word a couple times before the podcast started.
Nice, nailed it, nailed it.
Yeah, so Mega Dream EX and Abyss Eye. We're thinking that a lot of those, or at least Mega Dream EX, is going to be very similar to the high class packs that they've gotten in Japan, like V Star Universe, the Ultra Shiny GX, Tag All Stars, things of that nature. And then Abyss Eye, people are thinking about, is maybe in reference to Legends ZA, which comes out this November, I think.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like who Abyss Eye would refer to, and I'm like, would that be
Giratina.
Darkrai? You think it's Giratina? Yeah, it might
Yeah, I
be.
think it would be Giratina. It also could be a Darkrai. I'm trying to think. But I just think of like Giratina had an attack called
Called Abyss
Abyss Seeker.
Seeker. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it might be a
So
bit of
that's the
both.
first thing I thought of. Yeah, and
Um,
it's a Gen 4.
yeah.
Darkrai's also Gen 4.
Yeah, so both
Hmm.
Legend ZA type Pokemon, and if they don't have mega evolutions
No,
now,
Legend ZA is Gen
oh,
5.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, what's in Gen 5? What's
Gen 5. What's the
what are
like
the yeah, what are
Gen
the
5
legendaries from Gen
legendaries?
5?
It's the Thunderous Tornadus,
Gross.
and Thunderous Tornadus and the other guy. I can't remember the other guy's
No,
name in
I
there.
don't want one of those as megas. I don't like looking at
And
them
then
little.
also there's also Cobalion, Virizion, and Terrakion.
Oh, those don't feel like
That's
Abyss
also in there
Eye.
too. No, no, no. That's why I'm like wondering. And
Huh.
then obviously Zekrom
Yeah,
and but
Reshiram.
I will say the Mega Dream EX, right, being a high class set, is just Pokemon that are being reprinted right within the last year and like new rarities and stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to focus on Legend ZA. Or I'm
True.
sorry, no. I just mixed up the sets.
Well, yeah, but
Uh
I
yeah.
I mean, but Mega
Abyss
Dream
Eye,
also,
no
what
idea.
Pokemon eats dreams, right? Darkrai.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. I'm just saying maybe there's a Mega Darkrai coming out. I would believe it.
That would be a brand new mega evolution, and I think it would break the internet.
Yeah, exactly. You know what breaking the
Actually,
internet does? Money.
let's see. List of mega Pokemon. We're gonna look at the list of mega Pokemon.
As you look for that, I'm going to briefly mention though that Storm Emeralda, the big thought there is that they're going to be bringing back Mega Rayquaza EX, which will be huge. That was like a massive deck back in the day, so people are already pretty hyped about a Mega Rayquaza SIR. Big stonks money.
Mhm. In terms of the Pokemon, I'm thinking of like Ghost, Dark type Pokemon. There's Mega Gengar, right? That could be one that's a
Could be
very
one.
popular Mega Evolution and stuff like that. There's also, funny enough, Gyarados. Mega Gyarados is part Dark type. I don't think that applies to this, and I don't think
That'd be
that's true. But I completely forgot to realize that it's that Mega Houndoom is part Dark type, but I don't know if it really fits that. There's Mega Banette and also
ooh,
Mega Absol, which I think Mega Banette, talking about the Ghost type Pokemon, I
yeah,
think Ghost types could be pretty good. And then Mega Absol, right? Just being kind of a dark, gothic-y kind of Pokemon, might be able to fit that kind of like abyss there.
interesting. Well,
Mhm.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Also, as a reminder, we do have a set called Inferno X, which almost certainly will be Mega Charizard, and
Oh, I'm
uh,
willing to bet a lot of money on that.
oh, we are
Yeah.
getting a Mega Gengar EX in a starter set.
Oh, so it's not Gengar. I
Yeah,
find it hard to think that they would revolve a whole set around Banette, Mega Banette. As much as I like Banette, I don't really see it with the Pokemon Company. Uh,
yeah. Maybe. I mean, look, who knows? Maybe there'll be something new from the game that we haven't even thought of. Almost certainly.
oh my God, could you imagine if they did like a regional variant for Darkrai or something? Like
Uh,
a mythical Pokemon, they made like a regional variant. They've made like other Pokemon before, because like Enamorus,
uh-huh.
right? Enamorus was a unique Pokemon that came through Legends Arceus when that game came out.
That's
So
true.
maybe it's an upcoming Pokemon and
That we don't
like
know.
new kind of legendary, yeah, that we just don't know about. That's probably honestly,
That makes
I could
sense.
see that being a thing. Yeah, I could see that. You heard it here first.
Yeah. New mega Pokemon incoming for Legends ZA. That
New,
maybe it is related to the either the Tornadus family because Enamorus, right?
yeah.
And maybe there'll be another us Pokemon.
I think it's more likely the the trio of Cobalion,
It
Terrakion, and
might be.
Virizion, because I find it really hard to believe that these back-to-back games would hinder or not hinder,
Hinge on
would
the
then
thunderous line.
hinge on the Storm Cloud family,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I'm not the Pokemon Company. I don't work there, unfortunately.
But Jake, I think that's it for like the news. So let's have like a brief discussion now. Like and also shout out in our Discord if you want to like join this discussion. Tell us what you think. But three prize Pokemon making their way back.
Yes, I
How
think I
did you?
fixed the Discord link also in the
Oh
show notes,
yes.
so yeah. So apologies. Anyways.
I know that like a lot of people have varying opinions about three prize Pokemon. I think the general consensus though was that the original three prizers in tag teams, because they were all basic Pokemon, did make for a oftentimes less enjoyable experience.
Mhm.
There were certainly some exceptions. I think people really did enjoy Pikachu and Zekrom as an archetype. I think people really
Oh,
did
yeah, they were
enjoy
so good.
Yeah, people really did enjoy Charizard and Reshiram even as like a card and a card that went index, cards that was zone decks. But then later on, you kind of got to these like, I don't like the rest of this, especially ADP. Where do you stand on them bringing back three prizers?
I I'm really wary on it, right? I'm not gonna sit here and say that I hated the tag team era. I like the tag team era. That's kind of like when Sean and I both jumped in, and if we hated that era, I don't think we'd still be playing the game or talking on the
True.
Metapod podcast, right? So, I liked that time. I definitely didn't like ADP. I think ADP kind of like ruined it for me in terms of, and I think that's kind of the salty mark But really, I mean, ADP wasn't even bad until Zacian got printed, right? So I think it takes time to kind of try to be able to figure it out. But I do really like that these megas, for the most part, that they're making are not basic Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like what you were saying. You just start out with a basic Pokemon and you just slam your opponent, right? Where this one feels a little bit more methodical in a sense, almost like VMAXs kind of, where you had to evolve into them for those big giant three prize Pokemon. And I mean, there's definitely some that are good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think any of them so far are inherently broken, right? Like Gardevoir, the Mega Gardevoir is slightly broken because Gardevoir is just an incredible deck right now, and now it's just like another piece that is added to an already good existing archetype. I really like Venusaur, but I don't think Venusaur is incredibly insanely broken. Latias, Mega Latias, like I said earlier, I don't think it's incredibly broken, right? Especially at 280 HP, it's 60 HP less than any other Pokemon that we've seen right now. So I think it depends a lot in what I said earlier of like, can I one shot your three prize Pokemon? Because then it just feels like kind of what it did towards the tail end of the tag team era, where it was like, okay, you either play a three prize deck like ADP and you race trying to get those two prize Pokemon, making them three prizers, or I blow up your tag team right away,
Yeah.
right? With like Blacephalon or Blacephalon GX, something like that.
I will say I also have like scrubbed from my mind the VMAX era as a three prize era.
Yeah.
Just I think
I definitely
because
like I like the tag team era better than the
yeah.
VMAX era, I
I think
think.
partially because the VMAX era, like it was have the V, go into the VMAX, but the V was a two prize Pokemon that was almost always a liability. Like if your opponent was
Mhm.
able to boss it up and knock it out, it was the biggest feels bad. Cause it's like, well, of course the V is terrible because I'm supposed to go into the VMAX. And so it really sucked to have to play a two prizer and wait a turn. So I do think this helps that in that like you're never gonna get a feels bad in the same way. Like if somebody bosses up your Curlia, you're not gonna be like, oh no, my two prizer, my three prizer. It's like, ah, that's annoying. If I'd been
Like, the
smart, I would have
Pokemon
put
still
two Ralts
sucks
down.
that you're yeah, the Pokemon still sucks that you're evolving into, but it
Yeah.
costs one less prize,
Yeah.
you know? Like
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And your opponent doing that to stop you from getting into the three prizer, they're taking a risk in only taking one prize too. So
Mhm.
that's yeah. So I do think this will be a much better era than the VMAX era, which even remembering that era, when V Stars came out, VMAXs were almost immediately forgotten. Like
Yeah.
people like other than like Rapid Strike Urshifu, everyone was like,
Rapid
all
Strike
right,
Urshifu and Dragapult were the
yeah,
best VMAXs, I think. Although
yeah.
Eternatus did have a really good run at the beginning of the VMAX era.
Yeah, it's true. But like the fact that like all of the other VMAXs are just kind of like when V Stars came out, it's like, we'll stick with two prizers. I don't need this three prize nonsense. Um,
Exactly.
I don't know. I think that with the new overtime rules changes and the fact that they've given us a direct search for um, these three prizers, these megas, I do think the Pokemon Company is really hoping that people play at least one three prize Pokemon every single game because
Mhm.
I think their goal is to speed the game up enough that fewer people tie, especially in best of three. Um,
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I would hope that Pokemon, especially with their new time rules changes, trying to move a direction where time is less of a factor in a lot of games. But I don't know if that necessarily makes it better. I don't know if the direction they're going is better.
yeah,
Um, but it's something. You know, they're trying out different things at this point.
I mean, look, to be honest, they're trying to speed up the game, making three prize Pokemon viable. If they can do that, will speed up the game. I remember in the tag team era, like I think you remember this with me. The only decks in the tag team era that like didn't finish on time were like if you were playing Lost Thunder Giratina, Tina tags, which it's like,
Oh yeah, Malamar.
right, like I'm choosing to play an all single prize deck who only does 130 damage and places damage counters sometimes. And I'm like, okay, yeah, if you lose, that's on you because you chose to play that deck. But you know what didn't usually lose and didn't ever tie? Mewtwo and Mew GX, Pikachu and Zekrom GX. Like those decks, you finished a set in 50 minutes, best of 3. Like, and I will say there was a lot less ties than there are right now. So
I was gonna say my perception is slightly warped, just mostly because at the time
playing
in the
Pidgeot
tag team
control,
era, yeah, I was playing Pidgeot control, so I would
crazy.
tie more than the average person, but also just simply because I wasn't paying attention as much as I have been the last couple years, right? You know, I mean, we started the Metapod during the tag team era, uh, and it was late in the tag team era because it
Yeah,
was after Zacian came out,
yeah,
because it was during the pandemic. So I guess my perspective's a little bit different than it was back then, and so I'd have to like go back and really like rewatch entire live streams, you know, of the championships, which I don't even think are accessible. Really like entire live streams like they are now. Like you
hmm
can check out an entire live stream now and then also see it's like top cuts. Where I think it was more so back then of like the top cut rounds you saw, you know, like
yeah. I mean, I will say, like, I played a bunch back then. Like, I had a whole other YouTube channel that was like I uploaded on a lot.
you ran a
Um,
whole campaign trying to
I
end a turn to
I did,
VMAX.
I did. It was a big deal,
I
but
remember that. That was
my
so
pers-
fun.
my perspective on it was like in the tag team era, there was a few single prize decks that you could play, but even those decks would finish in 50 in a best of 3. The ones that wouldn't would be like Tina tags. There was a deck, Giratina and Garchomp, I believe, that sometimes wouldn't finish because of its play style. It's kind of funky. But like other than that, because Pikachu and Zekrom existed, games would finish because that was always a really good deck. It's still a great deck in expanded. Um, and between that ADP, for better and worse, and like even Mewtwo and Mew being a 3 prize deck, you would
You play
always finish
Greenzard?
games. Greenzard would
You
finish
remember that?
games. Yeah, I love
I
Greenzard.
like Greenzard.
The
I miss
one,
Welder sometimes.
dude, Gardevoir and Sylveon. Yo, let's go.
Gardevoir and Sylveon was cool.
That was a cool. It was
That was
weird.
that was tough for my that was tough for Pidgeotto or Rangaroo, I feel like sometimes.
Yeah, because you sometimes you couldn't do
Having one
anything.
Pokemon. Yeah, they played 4 Pokemon, just
hmm
4 Gardevoir Sylveons, and that was it. I was
And it's
like,
like,
well,
oh, let me trap something. Wait, you can just move your energy around? Crap.
yeah, tough
Anyways,
sometimes with Energy Switch.
but I don't know. My feeling is that I think it'll speed up the game, and I think I am still a wait and see on the strength of the basic 3 prizers.
Yeah.
I
I just think the set in general, the megas that we get overall, because I think megas did really change once Mew and Mewtwo came out, right? I think that's kind of when like megas took, or I'm
GXs.
sorry, tag teams.
Yeah,
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 tag teams. I think that's really when like tag teams took a turn that shifted people's minds in a sense after the world championships when Henry Brand won. So
yeah.
I think it's a waiting game and we'll just have to see.
Fair. Well, Jake, that's all I've got for this week. Is there anything else on your mind?
I'm playing Gardevoir again. It's just playing, getting ready for the Vegas regional. I guess just trying to practice more and more. It's kind of funny with the Vegas regional. My buddies out here, you know, my One Piece buddies, that I play with a lot. You know, they heard about the Vegas regional, and you know, I have a couple people that are like, "Oh, I want to start, you know, learning Pokemon and playing Pokemon." There's a lot of people out here that are excited for that event. So. I'm definitely going to be there, whether it's a spectator or a competitor. I hope it's a competitor, but if I don't make it, I'll definitely be there as a spectator. So,
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm a little sad that the One Piece event that we're going to is the same weekend as Baltimore regionals because that's the one closest to me. And I'm like,
oh
"Ugh,
yeah,
why?
for yeah, our event, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to qualify for nationals, right? And I'm grinding hard for that right now.
Yeah,
So,
you and me both. I
yeah, I
have
mean,
no
they're going to be playing
expectation.
Green Yellow Law, or I'm playing Sanji, the new
Oh.
OP12 Sanji.
Oh boy. I'm just gonna play blue,
Yeah,
purple, Luffy, even if it's bad in OP 12 format, but you know. I'm a
No,
degenerate.
it's really, really good. It's really, really
So,
good. Trust, Sean,
but I
trust.
am playing
It's
the
really good.
Doflamingo build. I have the cards on the way to try that.
Yeah,
So,
that one's cool.
well, all the Pokemon people have tuned out. Anyways.
Anyways, thank you so much for listening to the Metapod podcast, the Pokemon podcast that revolves around the evolving meta and sometimes talks about One Piece and eventually the Gundam trading card game, maybe a little bit, and this, that, and the third. I'm Jake. That's Sean. We'll see you later. We love card games.